Today on the show, Jeff Madlock sits down with longtime friend and educator Don Wettrick for a conversation about innovation, entrepreneurship, and what it really takes to prepare students for the future. Don shares why he stepped away from the CEO role to return to founder mode, how student pitch quality has evolved, and why solving real problems matters more than chasing flashy ideas. They also dig into AI, teacher morale, school culture, and the growing need for schools to create more opportunities for entrepreneurial thinking. It's a candid, energetic discussion about education, leadership, and building momentum that actually changes lives. Up next on the EduTech Guys.
You're listening to the EduTech Guys, edutechguys.com.
Hey, real excited today on the show to have a good friend we've known for a long time who's showing back up in different markets now because he's finished with his other gig. Well, he's not finished with it, but he's doing something different. Anyway, I'm going to let him introduce himself, tell us who he is, what he does, and then we're going to jump right into it. So here we go.
Well, thank you for having me on. Big fan. And yes, we've been friends for quite some time. Name's Don Wettrick. I taught for 20 some years, and I started kind of an innovation entrepreneurship program. And then I had this hard decision about 8 years ago. I was trying to do both and made the decision I could either be a really great teacher running an okay organization, or I can run a great organization and be an okay teacher. So my last day in the classroom was 2019, June 8th. So yes, I avoided the whole COVID thing, but I started to grow this thing called STARTedUP Foundation. We get students to see problems as opportunities, which is a nice way of saying entrepreneurship. And I've done that for quite some time. And then, yeah, as you were alluding to, I'm still with them, but I stepped down as CEO. We'll get into that, but the ability for me to go out and be in other states and meet with other people was more important than me writing grants and answering emails. So decided to be in founder mode and no longer CEO mode.
See, and I think that's a great question. So there you helped me rephrase that question in my brain right then. So what do founders get wrong? when it's time to hand off, when it's like, okay, this is the direction I want to go now. What do they get wrong?
Yeah, I mean, in some cases they wait around too long. I mean, like I'm overly self-aware. Like I'm the first person to go, look, I'm listening to myself talking. I know I'm rambling, but give me one more second. But I think a lot of times it's understanding the difference between being busy and being productive. And by the way, I'm in week 2 of trying to understand the difference myself. Of like, I'm in the office a lot. I'm answering emails. I'm writing grants. I am busy. And then I was missing out on some massive opportunities because I was busy. I think sometimes founders, when they realize they need to go, like, I started something, it's time to hand it off to a better practitioner. Mm-hmm. I was put on this earth, honestly, to be a teacher. I was never meant to be a CEO. And I did an okay job. I built a better team than I could ever, like, they were all collectively way better than me. And that's also in like being open to my board of them going, Don, we notice that whenever you're gone and you meet with people, you bring back opportunities. You should be gone more. So it's a nice way of them saying, like, get the F out of the office, dude. So I think holding on too long is one thing. And then honestly, just getting, a finger on the pulse. Mm-hmm. I got into a little bit of a spat online of like, I visit classrooms and they're like, well, you haven't taught in several years. I'm like, true. Now, I don't think I'm going to apply to be a sub and fill in on certain days, but I sure as heck am going to be visiting a lot more classrooms. And that's honestly where my heart is anyway. I want to see what's going on. Mm-hmm. In our whole theory of change, which we can get into, and why I want an innovation entrepreneurship hub in every high school, like, I got to see what's going on. What are the challenges? And so me being in founder mode, I'll have time to do that.
One thing that came really clear, I started doing my research a little bit more. I mean, I've known what you've been doing for a long time, and I sing praises about entrepreneurship in school, mainly because when you started this a long time ago, we were kind of there when it all started happening. And we were like, heck yeah, finally, we're going to get something done here. So tell me, do you think that student pitch quality, and this is where I'm getting to something here, you guys deal with pitches all the time. You get to hear students pitch this because some of your kids are pulling in millions of dollars now. Some of the graduates, are just bang, 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 pulling it in. So, and I want to throw this in because of AI. Do you think that over these 9 years, 10 years, do you think that pitch quality has gotten better, or do you think that AI has made mediocre pitches look better? I just wanted to throw that one out there.
No, yeah, it's a great question, and yes to both. And my answer will also be really arrogant. Yes, if they've gone through my program.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'll go to other youth Shark Tank things, and not to be a dismissive a-hole, but I get a lot of, our app will somehow cure cancer and then compete against Amazon. And you're like, what? Huh?
What?
Or I've got a dope t-shirt line. I want to start t-shirts, or I've got a vague food truck idea. Our organization was started that we've kind of, in a snarky way, going, please do not sell us a vaporware. My app will be the next thing. Solve a problem. Our tagline is always, what problem do you see as an opportunity? Even the class that I started years ago, it started off with identifying things or picking up on skills that we don't teach in school. And what do you want to do with it? So yes, the kids that are looking for, they don't have a business idea in search of an audience. They have a problem, and then they start building something around it. That's their value prop. People are complaining about this. I can make it go away. Or I know how to build this, and then like even B2B like things of like we've trended so hard in biomed because we have some teachers that are like having them go to the hospitals, the extended cares, the rehab centers, and they're like asking really basic questions. Like those kind of kids are building solutions, and where AI comes into place, heck yeah, that they're using AI for product market fit and some research. But what they're not doing, and this is your other part of your question, do we get kids that go, hey, Claude, give me a good business idea? Yes. And they suck.
Yeah.
And so we have this great balanced approach of we want you to use AI after you've identified some human moments, after you've talked to some people, because Claude and Gemini and whomever is not going to all of a sudden out of thin air going to come up with a business idea if your vague prompt is give me a good business idea.
Yeah, well, exactly. So that's a great byproduct of what you're doing because they're learning without knowing that's what they're doing is writing the perfect prompt. They're learning exactly what prompts they're supposed to ask once they already have everything else developed in their brain. And then they're going, oh, thank the Lord, this is even better. I just hit pay dirt. I was drilling for nickel and I hit oil. Who knew?
Right.
Yep.
Sorry, I love stories like that. You remind me, we were just talking to a student who was reflecting, and he goes, and he got accepted into a thing called Y Combinator, which if you guys are listening, if you don't know what YC is, I promise you that is a big freaking deal, especially to get in at age 18. And he was laughing and reflecting. He goes, dude, this started off as a debate in my class. He got accepted into the most prestigious accelerator in the world because one of our teachers just kept picking away. And it's those kind of resilient skills and what he started with. By the way, like a lot of our all-stars, they didn't win. But in the feedback of them going through the process, matter of fact, I think sometimes it's a curse to win. My thing's great. I don't need to improve on it. I said never to an entrepreneur, but like, it's this ability to get your butt kicked. And I love it that the teachers, we have usually 2 to 3 Trojan horse teachers for every high school. And I'll boil it down to they do 3 things. Number one, no matter what they're teaching, and I got to be honest, we're trending heavily in engineering, robotics, biomed, and yes, sometimes entrepreneurship class. But they do 3 things. Number one, what you're teaching, what problem do you see out there as an opportunity? There is a problem in drywalling. There is a problem in HVAC. There is a problem in engineering for lack of bedrock. Number two, they give the gift of time. So sometimes when our kids are showing promise of like, this kid's honestly onto something, give them some extra time. And then third, and maybe my favorite part is when everybody goes, well, Don, it's not fair. It's not what you know, it's who you know in this world. You're damn right. And it just so happens that nobody knows more people than teachers. So instead of these naysayers of like, oh, it must be nice to know some of these famous people. It is nice. We asked. Like the Kevin Bacon game, if you played that with teachers, a lot of times people are like, teachers even were shocked, like, oh my gosh, I do actually know a lot of people.
Yeah.
And if a kid has promise and they were serious about like taking it seriously, all of a sudden they're going, oh my gosh, you know what? I had a former student of mine. She's now the CTO. Oh my gosh, she could help you. That is kind of really what we've built. Yes, we have curriculum we're proud of, but it's the check-ins, it's the pick-aways of our teachers spending time with these students and then giving them the feedback they deserve. No, your idea is not good. No, it's not special. It's been done 20,000 other times. Choose something else. Getting that feedback at age 15 to 18 is glorious. So,
no, I agree. You know, I was just telling someone the other day, Frank Sinatra recorded over 1,700 songs, 1,700 different songs. He only had 209 hits. But you know, you got to keep swinging. And I mean, I think that's the interesting thing. It's exactly what you're talking about. Hey, that's a terrible idea. Go try again. Go try again.
Right.
Go try again. Oh, you got a hit. It's number 1, moved up on the charts, number 4 now. You know, I think that's really interesting. So where do you see the value in a high school diploma right now or in 2030 with what where's the value in a high school diploma?
That's what got me in trouble, and you saw it too. And Eli has been asking, like, what is
into?
Yeah, I know. It's a full disclosure. I had seen a lot of content by, I'll just use the term teacher influencers, and a lot of it was woe is me. We're never respected. We just all deserve $150,000. We should all get free healthcare. What if we all quit? Then they'd be sorry. It's like listening to a 10-year-old saying, I'm going to run away and then you'll be sorry. Like, you're like, and so I saw all this and I posted a video. Is this productive? Or is this kind of awareness needed? I'm genuinely like, if morale's that bad, I'd like to know. The interesting thing is that my DMs were like, dude, I love my job. I don't know what these people are talking about. My open comments are, everything sucks. I hate my profession. And this really scares me because this is how I'm answering your question. If this as a profession, we keep complaining about how much we hate it, we're going to have a hard time recruiting good teachers. A. And B, I think the ultimate destination to go and get things done can and should be a high school classroom if you want to work on interesting problems. Like, because now that I've asked this as a follow-up, I more or less proposed to especially parents, what do you want for your child out of high school? Because you can say that elementary helps you prepare for middle and middle school prepares you for high school. But like now that you don't have to go to college and people are accepting that, like, what do you want out of high school? People are like, oh, to critically think about what? Well, to acquire skills, which ones? And they're even having like, oh, wow, I never thought of that. Like school's already like always been school. And yet, dude, I got my degree in 1990, and we were talking about this in educational classes. The factory model of education isn't really as relevant now in 1997. Bro, we're still, you know, what we're doing is currently not right for the future needs of. And yet I go to these, I went to a conference and that was their big thing. We're going to transform education, buddy. And I'm not like, I'm old, but like, I'm not 70. I know some teachers that are like, how long are we going to talk about this? So your question is, what is it worth? What a really good listening to their customer base school is doing. And I think this is, and we're all uptight about the whole, our kids go to school and they use AI for 2 hours and then the rest of the day they can work on projects. And we're like, oh, that's not education. We're about to see. I could argue some points against it, but they're offering something different. And so the righteous indignation that I get from some people that I could never do this and my administrator will never let me and you can never, I'm like, then you're done. Just complain and wallow in your own pain. Got it. The educators that I work with and the teachers that have been working in our organization, they find ways, man.
Yeah. I agree. That it's really interesting that you're bringing that up because just last week, the shift at the Department of Ed. So everything's been shifted to the Department of Labor. So the Department of Labor is going to now handle the money for title and everything else. And boy, is that not an interesting concept of what we're going to deal with? And so now we're going to start seeing when the money doesn't show up, because you're right. Everything that a school district provides is like, but we're giving them real world stuff. We have welding, we have hair salon, we have auto body mechanics. Come on, you know. So you extended agri and you extended home ec a little bit,
Right?
And you think that's because when I drive through a large city, I just came back from Frisco, Texas. When I drive through a large city, every strip mall is full of something else,
Mm-hmm.
and it has nothing to do with welding or well, I should say it's not salons, but it's a bunch of other stuff. But there's the real kicker, and so my next question is teachers as the bottleneck. Is that the bottleneck? You've learned that from your organization that it is the bottleneck. And talk about that. I mean, talk about how you guys, because it's got to be Jeff shows up to be trained, and you go, "Hey, listen, Jeff's not going to make it. Jeff's not one of our people. No matter he's tried, but you listen. Do you have that a lot? Do you find that as a bottleneck?"
Yes, and I tell you, sometimes really the bottleneck wasn't them, but how they were supported or not supported. Like I'll give a humble brag story. Unfortunately, I went out and met Gary Vaynerchuk, and things went really well. And when the episode was over, he was like, "Good luck, but I think you're crazy." And I'm like, "I thought things went well." He's like, "It did, but like, no offense." And this is before I started the foundation. I was still in the classroom, and he goes, "No offense, Don." He says, "But you won the school lottery." He says, "You have a superintendent that didn't care and paid for you to come out to New York, and you have a principal that's not jealous that you're here with me." And I kind of laughed. I was like, "I guess you're right." He goes, "It takes a superintendent and a principal to be aligned with giving you the freedom they've given you. That's rare." And so we've had some teachers that are doing the best they can, and they're fighting this. Why do you get to do that? I worked with a lot of teachers that did Genius Hour, and all of a sudden some of the kids were on fire and all the parents were talking about their class. They had to fight the battle of internal domestic violence. So my goal in like identifying, can we not complain about everything? And by the way, if there are things to complain about, that's awareness. Like I'm cool with awareness. What are we going to do? And so if I and my organization starts holding up these opportunities, the principal and superintendent, I think, are going to be like, dude, that's what we want right there. Now the teacher doesn't have the excuse of I'm not supported. And on the other hand, if the teacher goes, I would freaking love it if I get to do this stuff, I can't do it. Well, all of a sudden we have a pretty good database of superintendents and principals that dig us. I'm like, do you want to, a town over, there's a school that would die for your services. Do you want to do that? Oh, Lord. And then that is that effect of it's FOMO. All of a sudden, there's a hub of activity, and people are writing stories about your school and the fact that 2 of your students built this thing and it got funded, that your local mayor is showing up to your classroom. Yeah, you're going to get some jealous teachers. I get that. But you're also going to get more and more and more administration goes, I mean, school's a competitive thing. All of a sudden, like they're rocking it out at East, but Central and North aren't doing jack. Like they're going to, then all of a sudden they want these kind of educators. Now, unfortunately, that is a slow moving thing. And that was Gary's whole point. Because he even said, he's like, how long would it take for you to convince my son's, his son at the time was in elementary. He says, but how long would it take for you to convince my son's high school to have a class like yours? I went realistically 1.5 years, but it probably wouldn't fall on the calendar. So 2 years. And he's like, right. So if my son's a sophomore, he's just effed. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, that's why I can't stand it.
Yeah.
And he says, that's why I get mad. And so I do understand we're turning a very large aircraft carrier around and it's a slow moving thing. But the more I can story tell, the more I can go, you're never going to believe what this teacher did in Hobart, Indiana. You're never going to believe what this in Salem, Indiana. And you're like, wait, what? Yeah. That kind of storytelling that isn't cute one-offs. Like they built something. What grade did they get? Asked no one ever when they see our student stuff. No one is asking what they got in grades. Like they built that company from nuh-uh. Not once so they're like, oh, I hope their GPA is good. But that kind of storytelling, these kind of things. And by the way, that's also probably one of the reasons why I stepped away as CEO. My job now is I'm going to be chief storyteller and getting some of these things out. Because we want to, like, in my zenith of teaching, I was live streaming a lot of my classes. I had a huge social media following. I've went away and hid for the last 5 years. Building this out. Well, now we're back to, okay, everybody should take a look at what some of our students, what our teachers are doing to get our students to do things.
So do you think it's a grassroots movement that would change it? So I hear exactly what you're talking about. If I've run into 1,000 teachers who don't want to help the new teacher next door. They think it's a competition. They'll bitch and moan that we need to be paid more. It's terrible. My life's terrible. But you're not helping this first year, second year teacher next door get to it. But the interesting part is how I've seen the superintendents that are the same way. I've seen them. I've also seen the lovey, huggy, touchy, everybody's great, good people. I just talked to Kevin Honeycutt last week. He's back in the classroom and we were talking, he finished, he said, it's a joy thing. Even when the teachers on the hallway are jealous of what you're doing, you can't fight it with, I'm better than you, or anger. You're fighting it with I'm happy. I'm good to go. You should get on the joy train because that's the way we're heading. So do you think it's building it at a grassroots movement? I know that takes time. Building it a grassroots movement of a group of teachers on a campus or a group of teachers nationwide who then start pushing the administration to make those changes.
Well, this is the other, by the way, I love Kevin. We can all acknowledge the fact that I love Kevin Honeycutt.
Great guy.
And this is where I hope that people aren't going to do the sarcastic eye roll, but this is also why we work with influencers. They influence.
That's right.
Like it was so funny getting to do an event with 50 Cent. Like, in the great scheme of things, it was a good 2 hours. Good for us. But what it did was send this message of, our teachers get to work with and talk to Fitty. That shouldn't matter, but it does.
It's street
sense
cred,
of
baby.
belonging. That sense of belonging of we have access to, and then it kind of makes them go, wait a second, this is the connection to this whole real world that we keep talking about. Working with guys like Jesse Cole, which, by the way, I didn't know who he was, but the whole Savannah Bananas thing is bananas. Working with him he was the one that broke the rule. Normally, for our teachers in our cohort, we have special speakers for their students alone.
Wow.
And then normally we'll have it hyped into like 50, 70 schools, whatever. Well, that was the one that the principal was like, oh, no, we're not just showing this in just Mrs. Smith's class. We're putting this in the auditorium, which, by the way, was like, in some ways, like, no, I want to reward the teacher that actually is going out of their way. But that was this like, oh, you guys are like, that's like a real entrepreneur that I've heard of. And so that sense of belonging, I think, is helping. And then, like, man, this is going to sound completely counterproductive. It's been the good politics. We have been working with both parties that, like, oh my gosh, and we work with so many mayors because we'll have some kid like share with what you guys are doing. Hey, we got a grant to do something with these 3 abandoned houses on Elm. Does anybody have any good ideas? And then students that start thinking like entrepreneurs, they'll go like, let me take this seriously. And so the local media of that, which we're always trying to help out with, the outcomes of that. And by the way, even if it's just experiential and like they didn't take one advice from the kids, there's going to be a couple of those people at the mayor's office like, I need to talk to those 2 kids that really stay, like those kind of opportunities. So on the teacher end, I think that the feedback that we're getting is, this is incredible. This is what I signed up for. Like, I have never seen this kid work so hard at anything. By the way, he's still getting a D+ in my traditional class, but oh my gosh, is he on fire with this stuff? And then like, that's good for attendance. That's good for morale, everything else. But the sticking point is finding those right ones. And then I'll tell you my little Donism that I keep talking about is when we get introduced, because like a lot of times mayors introduce us, like, we need this at our school. And the principal goes like, fine, we'll give it to Dave. He's the business chair. And I'm like, I don't want to work with the compliant. I want to work with the compelled. Just because Dave teaches business class, if Dave doesn't want to do it, he ain't going to do it, even though he said he's going to do it.
Right.
Who's your go-getter? Oh, well, it's actually our digital music production teacher, but she doesn't teach business. We see problems as opportunities. And that go-getter will have no problem picking up the phone and telling the mayor, get your butt down here. We're working on some amazing things. And it's those go-getter teachers. Back to Kevin Honeycutt's point, though, this is why we have an inner closed group of teachers, because sometimes they go from being liked by the students, but not liked by some of the other teachers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the selfishness and jealousy in education has always floored me for my 31 years in public
education. It's every career path, but it's human nature. Right.
But you would think that we could rise above that a little bit, since we're trying to also, since we have them for 12 years, 13, 14 years.
Yeah.
You would think we would learn to, slap ourselves and go, oh, wait, they're children. They're children. Yeah.
Well, but who gets credit? Like, and I'll say this, like when we started this fellowship, we had some, and I won't go over them, but we had some cool opportunities that weren't meant for all educators. They were meant for a few, and they were freaking amazing opportunities.
Wow.
And like, we knew we were going to create some jealousy. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any other profession, the sales lady that's killing everybody gets the Cadillac.
Right. Well, and it drives everyone else to, it's either you or you're on board. It's never, I try to remind everyone, my girls are grown, but I still remind them every day, hey, their problems with themselves. It's not with you. It's what you're doing, because they can't do it. And that's what they want so badly. But they're wasting so much time, just like what you're dealing with now online. They're wasting so much time, which you said, why are we wasting time on this? You're wasting so much time on this when you could better yourself. Go, trip over to ourfoundation.org and take a look. Find out how you can better yourself and better the kids at the same time.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So I know you well enough to know that this has been cooking on the back burner on your brain, and how to deal with it and how to handle it, but how to turn it into opportunity. And you've already done that. I've seen your replies. You're turning this whole, social media fiasco, as we can call it, not on you, but turning it into your opportunity. How do you see you moving forward and making it even a bigger opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like being called a douchebag. But like, so ironically enough, we talked to a kind of an advisor, because Don is no longer the CEO. He is the founder. So I have a little bit more poetic license to not go off the rails, but my Hippocratic oath to the foundation is still do no harm. That all being said, I told her about this post I was going to make, thinking this kind of response was going to happen. She goes, oh, 100%. I'm like, but I'm going to make some people mad. She's like, the people that are want to be offended were never going to be a part of your cohort.
Exactly.
Ever.
Exactly.
The people that could tell you that they could never do this would never do it. And sure as heck, she was right, because I got a DMs after DMs of like, I don't know who you are, but I want in.
Yeah.
Or I've been following you for quite some time, and these people are terrible and mean, and I feel kind of bad for you. And then in some cases, this is one thing I like. This was made on Facebook, not LinkedIn. The little voice thing for Messenger on Facebook has been hysterical, because like they'll text me this long thing and I'll give them 30 seconds. Like, yeah, man, tell me and this and that. And all of a sudden like, oh, we can talk back and forth. So it has been a joy, because the people that make a living off of being a victim, I could never do this. I'm sure your principles really, actually, got to be careful how I say this. A lot of DMs I got were from administrators.
Oh,
and by the way, both, there's some animosity. They're like, I could never do this because my administrator won't let me do jack stuff. And then, but a lot of administrators are like, look, man, we want to do something like this, but like the vitriol and the I could never, like, we're encouraging them to do it, but somehow they're blaming, the system, and we can't. So it was very, very, very entertaining. But I mean, yes, expect more of me to do this. I'm doing it in a very rational, I wasn't being hyperbolic at all. And then I did a follow-up video of like, hey, if my tone was snarky, but here's still the question. And then I proposed it on LinkedIn. And of course, I got a predictably way different response, because these are people not in education. And by the way, a lot of the feedback was, and even in the video I'd said, The people that I'm talking to are not mad at the individual teacher. They're upset because they also, when they're in school, were told the factory model isn't working anymore, and they're looking for talent, and they're complaining to me of saying, like, there's a lot of kids that got good grades and they're just waiting for instruction. Like, we're not hiring that. And so they're the ones that are also invested in wanting to change education. Well,
Yeah.
and I think that's where are you really? It's always fun to say I want to help our schools, but doing it is a little bit more difficult. So
it's a permission thing. David, my co-host David and I, we had lunch just right before this, and we were talking about something, and I said, what's really crazy? I said, I wouldn't have left the job that I was in. I wouldn't have retired from education had you not retired first. I said, although my wife kept telling me, stop doing it. You've got so many other ideas. Go do these things. Go play music. Go do your jazz thing. Do whatever you want to do. But I was waiting for permission. And I think that's what it is. I think that the teachers, it's easier to complain and find another reason. Oh, those sharks, their teeth are too sharp. I can't jump the sharks. I can't do that. But that's the thing. So where do we find permission? So you said you had a lot of administrators who were like, oh, I would love that. Okay, are you telling them that, or is this just something you write on you write it on your mirror in the morning and you see it and you go to school and you forget all about it? Is that what's going on?
That's I'm only telling you what I've seen lately. The first 5 years of this, we had a line of teachers going, I want to do this. I just got to convince my principal or superintendent or both.
Permission.
Here lately, we've built up an audience. And again, some of this is because we do work with state reps, senators, and mayors. So sometimes the superintendent hears about this and goes, whoa, this is important. The supply side seems to be, the demand side seems to be from administrators here recently. And the teacher morale, and by the way, this is also where I give credence. I know that a lot of times at the first day of school, there'd be some veteran teachers and what's the theme going to be this year that dies out by December? So I understand that there's some teachers that go, oh, this innovation entrepreneurship thing is a trend. It's a fad. The principal's all excited about it. It's going to go nowhere. So it does seem to take both an excited principal that empowers them or a teacher that takes it to a principal and then they are convinced. The other thing that I will say is it's also this triumvirate. If there's 3 relationships that really move things forward for us, it is chambers of commerce, local mayors, and then the school leaders. Because in the chamber and small business development centers, they're like, dude, 2 of these students are actually closer than what they this is getting exciting. That flywheel, all of a sudden, the SBDCs still have a quota of how many people they need to meet. And all of a sudden they meet some 16-year-old hotshot that has been flirting around with large language models for the last 3 years. And they're like, whoa. And then they then brag about this teacher and this school, and those school administrators are like, yeah, they're not doing this at West. And I think that's that momentum that can spin out.
Do you know about the East Initiative here in Arkansas? Do you know the East program? You ever heard of it?
No.
I'm going to send you the link when we get through. And so what they've been doing, they're in almost 500 schools in Arkansas or a few other states. Their convention every spring looks like going to Microsoft Tech Ed meets Nickelodeon, Slime City, but every school has one. They provide all the products. Anyway, they're turning out entrepreneurs without meaning to turn out entrepreneurs. And you guys partnering with them, I think just having a talk with their CEO, you and he would get along to the nth degree. But what's really interesting is 27 years ago, I had one of my students come back after his first year at college, and I had hired him in high school because he's a genius. And he came back and he said, we should go to Microsoft. We should go to Active Directory. It's in beta, but we should do it. And Hope, Arkansas moved to Active Directory before anyone else did, when it was still in beta. And, he went on to travel the world, still travels the world, writes programming everywhere. But East, that program itself started in Greenbrier, Arkansas. And they do exactly what you're talking about. The one thing that they have that is interesting is they have they raise the funding. So your school gets about $250,000 worth of product, 3D printers and software and machines and the whole
Right.
bit. But the teacher is just the facilitator, like you guys do. That's what they're there to do, is like, hey, how do I do this? Go read those books, go to this website, pull this up, do this
Right.
thing. But what's really interesting to me is that what you're talking about is what these communities learn pretty interestingly about those two students. These kids are geniuses. These kids know exactly what's going on. And the kids learn really interestingly that it's just sweat equity. It doesn't cost me anything to think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what's really interesting about your program is that it's not about product that has to be purchased. It's not about, it's about a mind think that has to be inserted into the school community so that they accept it and show themselves off. It's sweat equity at its most, basic sense.
Honestly, it's also really good mental health.
Oh,
You want to feel better about yourself?
yeah.
Give yourself some time to complain and then say, therefore, I will do blank.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's been the biggest outcome is that by the way, less than 10% of people want to be entrepreneurs. I get that.
Sure.
The ones that can think about new verticals and new ideas, they are the most hireable people, period. And I think that's been our most interesting outcome is that we've getting more people that are now being, we get now venture capital firms that attend our state finals, which is crazy. But like my favorite, we had a fairly well-known entrepreneur come to this last year's event and he pulled me aside at intermission and he's like, what is going on? And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I had heard that this was like, but I didn't expect this. And I go, oh. And he goes, no offense, Don. I hope that they're entrepreneurs when they're 35. I'm here to recruit. And I looked at him and I was like, he's in a very specific area. And I go, really? And he goes, oh, I have time to train people on the specific skills to work at my company. I do not have time to adjust their shitty attitude. These students are actively looking for opportunities, not waiting around for people to be telling them what to do. I'm hiring for that. Mm-hmm. And that sent an alarm that I was like, that it's bigger than entrepreneurship. It is entrepreneurial thinking. Mm-hmm. It is a willingness to get your butt handed to you and say, that was awesome. Thank you, sir. Going to have another. So
that's my old days of playing jazz. I love to go on a stage where I got schooled.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the old cats. And then I learned, because the next time I came back, it's like, okay, let me try this. So let me ask you this. We were both at ISTE and you see a lot of student startups. So where we are now, do you see with the vendor floor, you visited the vendor floor. We always all visit the vendor floor. Mm-hmm. I interviewed a lot of the vendors, so do you think that the industry do you think it's solving real problems, or do you think that maybe they're just, selling to procurement? Do you think it's really happening? What did you see? And now ISTE changed its name. So it's no longer, we take technology all the way out and we're going to transform education. Now, I have my little soapbox there. So now the vendor board is going to be buses and desks and curriculum and everything. So now it's not just going to be technology. It's going to be everything that can transform education. Well, I'm going to go sell cafeteria lunch trays. So, have a whole booth for it. But back to that, do you think that all the AI software we're seeing and all this stuff, do you think it's actually solving real problems, or do you think that maybe we're just trying to make as much money? Because ed tech is a $1 billion industry.
You're basically my age. I mean, if you had an italicized font and a .com in 1998, you made a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And then the telltale sign of pets.com. And I think that we're seeing that. We've got an AI solution for something. Like, oh my gosh, AI solution. And there's a money grab. And like anything, this is Peter Thiel's 0 to 1 book. Like, there will be a couple of monopolies that come out of it. Everybody else will be acquired, or they'll realize that they're not relevant. And so it's nothing more than that. The ones that, like, the unfortunate thing is, like, a lot of people start businesses to get acquired so that you know what the game you're playing. But like, sometimes there will be some really great glean some ideas, and then a larger company will buy them out. Good if it lives another light of day, but no, I see 100% of a lot of pets.com in the ed tech space. The interesting thing and the uncomfortable part in the room was the 2 months before it of the Jonathan Haidt led too much screens technology is like the backlash. I was surprised that I didn't see any conversations around that.
No.
Which maybe it's because it like the stage was set, everything was set. You had to submit your proposals, but I'm surprised there wasn't a couple of pop up. Hey man, we're going through some weird times. How are we handling this? But a conference that big, it's probably hard to do.
So before I let you get out of here, I know you're busy, man. Top 3 to 5 things that every educator or every administrator needs to do right now to get on track with you guys, to get on track with you, to get you there.
Yeah. Number one, I guess connect with me. LinkedIn is probably where I'm most active. So
Yeah,
Don Wettrick. 2, no matter what you're teaching, make it a part of your weekly weekly operations. What problems are you seeing out there? And if it's a 5-minute bell ringer of like, all right, what bugs you and what do you want to do? If you teach middle school and grade school, get into the muscle memory of identifying things for the purpose of wanting to improve it. And not just, you should be so proud because you changed your profile picture. I'm so glad that you stand with this organization. No. And then if you're in high school, like promoting and celebrating people that can come up with like, no, I'm going to launch this for real. Those are, and again, I highly recommend if you are a school leader, man, be open and willing to get some feedback from your chamber of commerce, local business leaders that want to hire more people, but they're a little frustrated. The whole the whole thing that we always talk about is, again, that moaners and groaners and seekers and peakers. Moaners and groaners have their role. They identify things that suck. Opportunity seekers listen to those people complain and do something, and then ultimately create peakers. Man, there are certain kids that can spot trends a mile away. Like if you could buy stock in a TikTok dance, like this kid's going to go viral. Some of those kids know early. That is a skill of being a peaker. You're peeking around the corner. And as you were talking about, I see trends, like ironically enough, in real life is trending. Gen Alpha wants to be off their phone. Having more experiential based things are my Gen Z kids are talking about creating experiences for Gen Alpha because they know that like they see it. So have these discussions on what are you seeing? What's emerging? What trend do you see? And how could you take advantage of it?
Man, that's good stuff. I'm really glad I got time to see you. And
yeah, man.
When you ever come up with other topics, you holler at us because we'd love to have you on. I mean, seriously. I mean,
sure. I will go out of my way to try to stir the pot, and then maybe you'll see something and be like, "Oh, you really poked the bear on that one."
Well, it was really good, and it was good to see you back at ISTE. So I'm sure I'll see you.
I miss the ed tech people. Obviously there's a balance to this. I think some people felt a little bit beleaguered and maybe a little bit battle scarred because of some of the backlash. But I think this is a great opportunity to find that balance and have those conversations of, yeah, we went a little too far on this, but we don't want to throw all the bathwater out because there's some great opportunities here. And the people that want to employ our kids, don't expect them to be completely screen free. So
yeah. Well, man, thanks for coming on the show, and I look forward to having you back pretty soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on.
Hey, want to thank Don for coming on the show. It's always great to talk with him. He knows so much. He's done it all, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship for students and education, because he's like I said, like he said, and like I said, he's done it all. Check out more if you want to. You can just go over to startedupfoundation.org. That's STARTEDUP edutechfoundation.org. That's where you can find more about Don and the foundation, and also just check out the web. Put Don in. You're going to find him on all the socials. Don Wettrick with 2 T's, Wettrick. Hey, thanks again. It's been a great show. Don't forget to check us out on the web, edutechguys.com, edutechguys.com. Hey, I guess I'm in spelling mood today. Anyway, you can find all of our good stuff out there. Just look us up on social media. We're EduTech Guys. It's where we're bringing you the good stuff. We try to keep it funny and light and also keep it informative. Hey, listen, I'm Jeff Madlock, and we'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to the EduTech Guys, edutechguys.com.